Now, in more stunning hypocrisy, we see Dianne Feinstein saying yesterday on the news that she wants private drones to be taken out. You know, she has a problem with bloggers exercising their free speech. She has a problem with people owning guns if they don't work for the government. And of course, she was very intimidated by seeing a drone at her house, even though the drone didn't have any camera and didn't have any missiles. Jakari Jackson has more on that.
When is a drone picture a benefit to society? When does it become stalking? When does it invade privacy? How close to a home can a drone go? I'm in my home and there's a demonstration out front and I go to peek out the window and there's a drone facing me. Well, whoever was running it turned it around quickly and it crashed.
Senator Dianne Feinstein is very concerned about her personal privacy, but thinks it's just peachy keen for other American citizens to be spied on. The senator claims that the CIA violated the Fourth Amendment rights of herself and her colleagues, a claim that the CIA denies. No surprise there.
The matter is being dealt with in the appropriate way, being looked at by the right authorities, and the facts will come out. But let me assure you that CIA in no way was spying on the SSCI or the Senate. We greatly respect the separation of powers between the executive branch and the legislative branch, and we're going to do everything possible to work with the committee in the future on its report.
With a former CIA director being spied on, it wouldn't surprise me at all that anyone in the U.S., or any place in the world for that matter, could fall victim to the prying eyes of Big Brother. And the CIA isn't the only alphabet agency in on the fun. New Snowden documents show that the NSA is pretending to be Facebook in order to infect computers with tracking malware. This, of course, is to say nothing of the government spying via webcams, laptops, Xboxes, and cell phones. So let this be a reminder to the powers that be. Suppression of rights may start at the bottom, but it always creeps towards the top. You can find more reports at Infowars.com.
That's right. Don't shoot any video of Dianne Feinstein with a drone, but she doesn't have a problem if Obama shoots innocent people in wedding parties using a drone. And of course, I guess we could say, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn all of your drones in, just like your guns. See, the Senate is allowed to have privacy, but you're not allowed to have privacy. The Senate and the politicians could have complete control of the media, but you need to get a license if you're going to be a blogger. You need to be licensed as legitimate press individual. And of course, they have cameras everywhere, but don't even think about putting one on a drone. Now, she also had this to say. She said, "This is a whole new world." Yeah, it sure is. And it has many complications. What is an appropriate law enforcement use for a drone? When do you have to have a warrant and when do you not have to have a warrant? What's the appropriate governmental use for a drone? See, in her world, in her brave new world, you and I don't have any tools of technology, of surveillance, of protection. We can't protect ourselves with video or with guns. Only the government has it. So in her view, all they need to do is see what the government can do, because for you and I, it's simply going to be banned. Now, we can see this also with other alphabet agencies. Look at what the ATF did over the weekend. Last week, we reported that they were being held back by a restraining order from a judge. Well, it turns out you can't restrain the ATF. Yeah, they're just like Judge Dredd. As Kit Daniels reports, ATF agents equipped with M4s and plate armor conducted a raid on Aries Armor in National City, California. And as he's pointing out, this is really a way to intimidate their customers. They had arbitrarily declared a particular product that was being made by this company to be illegal. And so they were going to confiscate not only those, but the names of the people who had purchased those things. And that firearms company, to their credit, fought very hard to try to keep the names of the people who had purchased those things private. But of course, the ATF ignored the order. They got another judge to overrule that order, a higher court to overrule that, and went in and seized it as an armed raid. They were very much afraid for their safety, as they should be, because we've seen over and over again how these things go. Now, the issue here is that you've got yet another case where an alphabet agency, whether it's the ATF or the IRS or the DEA or the EPA or the FDA, all of these alphabet tyranny agencies have begun acting like Judge Dredd. They write the law, they judge whether or not you are in violation of their law, they enforce the law, you have no presumption of innocence, and you don't get to go to a court. They're judge, jury, executioner, and legislator. And that's what's going on with all of these organizations. We just saw the same thing happen with the EPA last week with a farmer in Montana who put a pond on his farm. They write new regulations, and then they come after you in their own courts with their own enforcers. Now, we also see that the TSA turned out in force today at St. Patrick's Day. Today, of course, is St. Patrick's Day. As Adon Salazar points out, the mammoth federal agency continues its unchallenged invasion of non-transportation related events. Maybe the purpose of the TSA at the St. Patrick's Day events was to remind us of another infamous group that fought secession and home rule, and that would be the Black and Tans. Now, we also learned today that the internet, the last part of the internet, is going to be turned over to some global body. Who? We don't exactly know yet. The Commerce Department announced that they're going to start the process of transitioning oversight of the Internet's domain name system, that's DNS, to a non-governmental entity. They said they look forward to ICON convening stakeholders across the global Internet community to craft an appropriate transition plan. Well, the question is, who are the stakeholders? Who is the global internet community that this is going to be turned over to? And we've had some pushback from some Republicans, which is a good thing. They've said, Senator Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina, said the, quote, global internet community that this would empower has no First Amendment. But the question is, who are they? And when we see people talking about stakeholders and global organizations that are not governmental, which is what they're saying, they're not going to turn it over to a government organization or a group of governments. So who are they going to turn this over to? Is this going to be to the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Is this going to be some provision of that? Because we see them talking about stakeholders with that. We see them coming after our internet freedom using the kind of techniques of copyright protection that they tried to put on us with SOPA, PIPA, CISPA, and ACTA.
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding, making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
The brainwashing media machine has been turned up on high, and it's time for humanity to double down on the true people's media and strike back against the tyrants that are destroying our civilization with their lies and fraud. We are the resistance. You are the resistance. You are the info war. It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv.